Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about Z transform of some standard signal and properties of Z transform. Z transform of unit impulse. First we calculate Z transform of unit impulse delta of n. Delta of n is 1 when n is 0, and otherwise impulse function value magnitude of impulse function is 0. And according to the definition of Z transform, x of z is given by summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n multiplied by z raised to the power n, where xn is equal to delta n, and if we substitute the value of xn, and in this case value of this delta function is 1 when n is 0. So here we write n is 0, n is 0, we put n is 0, n is 0, and x of z is equal to delta of 0 and z raised to the power 0. Value of delta when n is 0 is 1, and value of z raised to the power 0 is 1. So we get z transform of impulse function x of z is 1. It means that, and this x of z is real value. It means ROC is entire z plane. Means Z transform exists in entire Z plane, and we can write this impulse Z transform of impulse response is 1. Similarly, calculate Z transform of delayed unit impulse. Delayed unit impulse means delta of n minus k is 1 when n is equal to k. Here you see the diagram for delayed unit impulse. When n is equal to k, the magnitude of delta function is 1, otherwise 0. So if we put the value of x of n in this equation, and value of this signal is 1 when n is equal to k. So we get, well, here we put 1, and value of n is k. So we get x of z is equal to z raised to the power minus k, or x of z is equal to 1 by z raised to the power k. If k is positive, the value of z except 0. If you put z is equal to 0, then value of x of z or z transform is infinite. So ROC is entire z plane except z is equal to 0. Because when you put value of z is 0, you get the value of x of z or z transform of impulse function is infinite. So ROC is entire z plane except z is equal to 0. Then calculate Z transform of advanced unit impulse. Advanced means this impulse function is shifted to the left hand side, and so we can express this delta function as delta of n plus k. And if we substitute the value of x of n in Z transform, we get a expression like this. And this impulse function, value of this impulse function is 1 when n is equal to minus k. When n is equal to minus k. So if we put n is equal to minus k, n is equal to minus k, then we get this equation x of z, or Z transform of the impulse function is z of z raised to the power k. And if you put z is equal to infinite, you get the value of Z transform, and which is infinite. So ROC is entire Z plane except Z is equal to infinite. Then next is calculate the Z transform of unit impulse, unit step U of n. U of n is 1 when n is equal to or greater than 1, otherwise it is 0. And if we substitute the value of x of n, where x of n is in this case is U of n, and then limit changes from 0 to infinite, because for negative values of n, value of x of n or U of n is 0. So here limit is changed, and this limit changes from minus 0 to infinite. Value of u1 is always 1. Value of u1 is always 1. So we can write this expression z of minus 1 whole square n, and we know that the standard equation for geometrical series is this: summation n is equal to 0 to infinite a raised to power n is given by 1 by 1 minus a if magnitude of a is less than 1. Here this expression resembles like this. So we can say that a is equal to z raised to the power minus 1, and x of z is 1 by 1 minus a. So here we write the value of a, which is equal to z raised to the power minus 1, and then multiplying numerator and denominator by z, we get x of z is equal to this, or x of z is equal to z minus z minus z minus sorry x of z is equal to z divided by z minus 1. If a is less than 1, and here a is equal to z inverse z raised to the power minus 1, so we can write this. Yeah. So we can say that this is the Z transform of unit impulse, unit step function, and this is the ROC. This condition defines the ROC. It means that 1 by Z is less than 1, or magnitude of Z is greater than 1. ROC is magnitude of Z is greater than 1. So we draw a circle of radius 1, and this is the ROC. ROC means Region of convergence means in this region we get the value of z transform of u of n. But in this case, in this region, we get the value of x of z, which is infinite. So this is the region of ROC where we get the value of x of z. So the z transform pair is u of n. Z transform of unit step signal or sequence is given by z minus 1 if magnitude of z is greater than 1. Why we take circle for ROC? Because in case of circle, if radius of circle is 1, that every point in outside the peripheral of circle z, magnitude of z is equal to 1 is satisfied. This condition is satisfied only for circle of radius 1. If we take square or triangle, this condition is not satisfied for every point. Then find out z transform of unit ramp. Unit ramp is given by r of n is given by n when n is equal to or greater than 1, or for positive values of n, r of n is en, otherwise it is 0. So we can write this sequence as r of n is n, un. Un means nothing, only this sequence exists only for positive values of n. Then according to the definition of Z transform, we substitute the value of x of n, which is n u n. Then x of z is equal to value of un is 1, and here limit changes from minus infinity to limit changes from minus 0 to infinite. And we can write this expression like this, and summation of the standard summation formula for this is given by this. So here we take a is equal to z raised to the power minus 1. Then we get x of z, and if we multiply by z square in denominator and numerator, we get a equation like this, or we can write this: x of z is equal to z divided by whole z minus 1 whole square, and if z raised to the power minus 1 is less than 1, or 1 by z, mod of 1 by z is less than 1, or, and this is the ROC of z transform. So ROC is exterior part of circle having radius 1, same as in case of unit impulse function. Then z transform of right-handed exponential sequence. Exponential sequence is given by x of n alpha raised to power n u n is equal to alpha raised to power n for positive values of n, and for negative values of n, x of n is 0. It is the exponential signal is shown in figure when alpha is less than 1, and when alpha is greater than 1, it is rising exponential, and when alpha is less than 1, it is decaying exponential. Then according to the definition of Z transform, we substitute the value of x of n, which is given by this expression. So we finally we get this expression, yes, here limit is changed from minus infinity to, here limit is from minus infinity to plus infinity, and in this case limit is changed from 0 to infinity due to presence of unit impulse function. And we can write this expression like this, and this is the geometrical series. And for geometrical series we can use this standard equation, and by using this equation we get x of z is equal to 1 by 1 minus alpha z raised to the power minus 1 if alpha z raised to the power 1 minus 1 is less than 1. And from this we can calculate the ROC, or we can determine the ROC region of convergence. And alpha by z, mod of alpha by z is less than 1, or mod of alpha is less than z, or we can say that z ROC is this region, means z transform exists in this region, and in this region the value of z transform is infinite. So ROC is exterior part of circle having radius alpha. This is the z transform of exponential signal. Similarly, calculate the z transform of left-handed exponential sequence. Left-handed exponential sequence, it means that it is multiplied by u of minus n minus 1. Right-handed sequence is in right hand side, left-handed sequence is in left hand side, so we can multiply. If we multiply alpha raised to power n by this, we get left-handed exponential. Here this is u of minus n, and if this sequence is shifted in left hand side, you can write u of minus s minus 1 minus n minus 1, and if you multiply this signal with x of alpha raised to power n, you get the left-handed sequence, which is like this. And if for this negative sign, because this negative sign is present, we get a left-handed growing exponential sequences like this. And we know that u of minus n minus 1 is 1 when minus n minus 1 is greater than 0. So from this, n is when n is less than or equal to minus 1, value of this unit impulse function is 1, otherwise it is 0. And if we substitute the value of x of n in z transform, limit changes from, because it is left-handed side, lower limit is minus infinity and upper limit is minus 1. So limit is changed from minus infinity to plus infinity, and value of u minus n minus 1 is 1. So we get this expression, and we write this expression like this. If we put L is equal to minus 1, so n is equal to minus L, and here by using these values we get x of z is equal to summation L is 1 infinity minus For converting this n is equal to minus infinity to minus 1, we take L is equal to minus n or n is equal to minus L. So we get x of z is equal to summation L is 1 from L is 1 to infinity minus x alpha 1 z raised to power minus 1 whole square of L. And by using this formula, we get the value of x of z is equal to z divided by z minus alpha, and in this case ROC is anterior part of this circle, and uh, this circle radius of this circle is alpha. So ROC is region of convergence with this part. It means that Laplace Z transform exists for this region, and if and for this region value of x of z is infinite. So region of convergence is this. This sequence this sequence is infinite duration. Means this sequence is of infinite duration, and it is left-handed means anti-causal. It means that this sequence is of infinite sequence and it is anti-causal, and thus ROC of infinite anti-causal sequence is the interior part of circle having radius. If any sequence which is of infinite duration and anti-causal, then ROC is always anterior part of circle having radius alpha. And if sequence is infinite exponential sequence and it is causal sequence means right-handed side, then ROC of infinite causal sequence is the exterior part of the circle having radius alpha. Then Z transform of two-sided exponential means x of n is written as alpha raised to power n u n plus beta raised to the power n u minus n minus 1. Means this is anti-causal and this is causal. This is written as alpha raised to power n u n, and this is written as beta raised to the power n u minus 1 minus n minus 1. So x of z is equal to x1z plus x2z. We have calculated or determined the z transform of this exponential, which is given by z divided by z minus alpha, if magnitude of z is greater than magnitude of alpha. So first for first part z transform is like this. For second part x2z is equal to minus z divided by z minus beta, and this is the ROC. So x of z is equal to z divided by z minus alpha minus z divided by z minus beta. This is for right-handed side exponential sequence, and this is for left-handed side exponential sequence. Then deciding the combined ROC. ROC कैसे define करना है इसमें? ROC is, for first case, ROC is mod of Z is greater than mod of alpha, and in second case mod of Z is less than mod of beta. Suppose that value of beta is less than value of alpha. We do not know the value of alpha and beta. So there are two cases: either alpha is greater than beta or beta is less than alpha. So if for in first case beta is less than alpha, here value of beta is less than alpha, and ROC is decided by this: mod of Z is greater than alpha. Means in this case, this is the ROC. Means in this region, x of Z exists, and for this condition, if we use this condition, ROC is this. Here, for second term or for left-handed sequence, this is the ROC, and for right-handed sequence, this is the ROC. Suppose we take the combined ROC. Combined ROC is this: anterior part of smaller circle. If we take this part as an ROC, in this part, this term exists only because, but this term does not exist. This term does not exist means because in this term, in this region, value of right-handed sequence or Z transform of right-handed sequence is infinite. So if we take this ROC, we get the Z transform, value of Z transform is infinite for this circle. If we take this region, non-overlapping region, in this region, right, value of x of Z for left-handed side is zero, is infinite, and for this part, right-handed side, x of Z is infinite. So in this case, there is and if we take this is the combined ROC. In this case, Z of Z transform for right-handed side exists, but Z transform of left-handed side, value of Z transform of left-handed side is infinite. So in this case, there is no ROC. But in second case, when beta is greater than, when beta mod of beta is greater than mod of alpha, in this case, if we take this region as an ROC, in this region, value of Z transform of right-handed signal is infinite. So we get value of x of Z combined x of Z in this region is infinite. But in this region, in this region, we get finite value of x of Z for both signal, right-handed and left-handed signal. But if we take this region as an ROC, value of uh, left-handed sequence means the Z transform of left-handed sequence is infinite. So combined value of Z transform is infinite for this region. So when we get this is the region in which we get the value of Z transform for left-handed and right-handed exponential sequence. So we get x of z, value of x of z is equal to z divided by z minus alpha plus z divided by beta minus z for ROC is in between z or combined ROC is this. So when we combine many z transform, the ROC of overall z transform is at least the intersection of individual z transform. मीन्स अगर हमें कई जो है सिग्नल है सीक्वेंस है और उनका हम जेड ट्रांसफॉर्म कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं तो आरओसी क्या होगा इंटरसेक्शन ऑफ ऑल द इंडिविजुअल जेड ट्रांसफॉर्म. Now time is over, so class is over. Thank you.